I mean, to him, all we have to do is get rid of taxes, regulations, let's say cut taxes, do away with regulations. There's a third part to it. Well, and get rid of me. And then we will have a prosperous economy, and he's going to do all that in 2 to 4 years, and then he's going to leave. I might point out that the Water Resources Development Bill took 6 years, and it's going to guarantee dredging into the indefinite future for the ports on the coast. And every year before that, before the Republicans banned earmarks, I had to dredge the ports with earmarks. So then I turned to a permanent solution. Well, if he was there 2 or 4 years, he wouldn't have even been involved in the discussion, let alone, getting a bill. Well, they're frustrated that it takes things so long to get done in Washington, and so am I, but it's the reality. And it's also a very seniority-driven organization. If Oregon wants to give up its seniority, other states will say, great. We won't have to pay any attention to Oregon anymore. Ron Wyden didn't get to be chair of the Finance Committee by walking in 2 years ago. The only one I got done within the first 4 years was Dean Creek. The big stuff didn't come till a lot later. So we would have had the Dean Creek Elk viewing area, no control tower, no rail bridge, no railroad, no high dock at Port Orford, and the list goes on. The Coos Bay debate 4 years ago. Art said very distinctly, and he repeated it later in other forums, I will not take earmarks, it's corrupt. Now, I tonight will point out what the South Coast would look like without earmarks. I mean, it isn't like the bureaucrats in Washington, D.C. are going to look and say, oh yeah, we want to help Southwest Oregon. Yeah, we're really concerned about the port of Coos Bay, or we're concerned about Port Orford. We know all about Port Orford and their problems were. First, what I can say to Art is that first off, you don't take them. You got to fight for them. And right now they're in limbo because of the Republican rules, but I think earmarks will come back. A couple of things I bring to the table. One is let's put a minuscule tax on the speculators on Wall Street, rein in some of the really risky supercomputer trading, and raise some money to spend on the real economy, to invest in we could invest it in students, we could invest it in infrastructure, we could use it to help pay down debt, whatever, but something more productive than supercomputers on Wall Street. And I'm a sponsor of Elizabeth Warren's bill in the House, which would say, look, we're going to let students refinance their loans at the same rate we give to Wall Street banks, which would dramatically lower the burden of student debt on college graduates. And it wasn't easy. It took, probably took us, I don't know how many months, but many months of negotiations to come up with our proposal. And we managed to pass it through the House. Now there's very, very few bipartisan bills that have gone through this House of Representatives.
Exactly.
So I consider that a major victory. Now the problem is we're on the other side now. We're in the Senate, which is a different world. And Senator Wyden has said that the trust approach will not fly in the Senate. We want to resolve the controversy once and for all, so we're proposing to set aside the remaining old growth. That's where the controversy started. That's where it can end.